Alright guys, how you doing? It's CK here, and today I am giving you another car wish list for Forza Horizon 3. This time it's going to revolve around my top 23 sports and GT cars I want in the game. Now, yet again, like the last video, it is in no particular order, and if I don't mention a car that you guys want in, then leave them in the comments section below. So anyway, first up, if you're a big fan of James Bond, you are more than likely wanting this to appear in Horizon 3. It is the Aston Martin DB10, and I have to say, I've never seen it in blue until now. It looks freaking gorgeous in blue with the 007 logo on the side of it right there. Let's try to avoid some lasers. Lasers isn't a word, Frank. Lasers, that's the word you're looking for. There we go, but I really like this profile pic right here. And then we move around the back to the gorgeous booty on this thing. I really do love the rear of this car, and it sounds phenomenal in the actual movie Spectre. It's kind of funny how we get held up by a Fiat 500. Just classic right there. And then we move on to kind of like the spawn car of the DB10. It is the DB11. You'll see what I mean in a little minute when we go around the back. But it has the same rims as the DB10, and it has basically quite a lot of proportions from the DB10. The full front end is essentially what I think is a modern day DB5 mixed with a Vanquish, and god, it looks good. It looks very good indeed. And here is the back right here, and as I said, it looks a lot like the DB10. Now that little strip on top of the actual kind of like boot lid is actually where air goes through. I know it's really small, but I've seen a video and they were talking about that, and air passes through that, which is pretty damn cool. You get the big dual exhaust right there. It is so cool, this car. Can't wait to cruise around if it does come into the game. And sticking with Aston, we have got the DB11's hardcore little brother, the Vantage GT12. I've driven this thing in Project Cars and I loved it. The sound is great, the looks are blooming brilliant. It's essentially a race car for the road, as you can see here, with all the vinyls, the big skirts and everything, the wing. That wing. And around the back you can see how it's all carboned out right at the lights, and I believe it's actually a carbon badge as well. It's not like a metal badge to save even more weight. Y'all knew this was coming. Y'all knew this was coming from me. It is the Jaguar FType SV. Hell yeah. Talk about some British muscle, man. Oh yes. Now the Aston Martins, they produce quite a good noise, but oh, if you've seen Car Throttle's review or X-Car review on this thing, I don't think there's a better sounding V8 car out there. Possibly the Challenger and Charger Hellcat come very close. I think that I would say they're kind of tied with this thing. It is an incredible sounding car. Now I really feel jealous of the guy which is in this picture. I mean, he's going to go blasting right through a tunnel in New Jersey with the SVR F-Type. You lucky bastard! You lucky bastard! Now there is two versions of this. It's the convertible and the hardtop. Personally, I would love both, but considering the fact we have the Project 7 in, I think it would be good if they went with the coupe for the SVR. And then we move on to one of my favourite cars, if not my second favourite car alongside the F-Type, the Eagle Low Drag GT. Now this is kind of split into two cars here. They're essentially the same, but this is the first one. It's the Low Drag GT, which is a hardtop version of the Eagle Speedster, which is coming next. And from this angle, oh, she's a beauty, an absolute beauty. And from the back, it looks even better with the twin pipes. The one thing that I don't like about this car is the wheels. They kind of look like they've just come from a freaking washing machine. If it had the wheels which were on the Eagle Speedster, which you'll see in a little second, it would be even more jaw-dropping, but I'm sure you can change it if it does come into Horizon 3. Right, I might need to get some tissues. I'll be back in a second. Oh man, but this is the Eagle Speedster. It is one of the most drop-dead gorgeous cars in the world. There's them rims that I was talking about as well. They're a lot more classic looking, all the spokes and stuff. This is just an icon of the modern era. Now, if you don't know what it is, it's essentially a modernised version of a Jaguar E-Type convertible. I can go on for days about this car, seriously. It's got, I believe, a 330 horsepower or 333 horsepower flat 6, I think. I'm pretty sure it's a flat 6. I should know this. I should know it definitely, but it does produce around about that power, and its top speed of around about 160 miles an hour. But just like the F-Type SVR, the noise is one of the best things about this car. It is phenomenal. And also the back end, I forgot to say that, also the back end is pretty damn nice as well. Same twin exhaust pipes as the low drag GT, but it's more curved and more bootylicious, in the words of freaking Destiny's Child or something like that. Can't remember, was it Destiny's Child or Beyonce? I'm not clued up in music from a while ago, but it is a phenomenal car. I am not going to stop requesting this until Playground actually bring it back in. Please, Playground, please, please. Now, I used this picture in one of my thumbnails the other night, talking about Porsche being confirmed, even though people are saying that it's going to be rough, even though I can tell it's actually a Porsche. You get them people out there, don't you? But anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, this is the Singer 911. It's basically like a 911's greatest hits. It's got the best engine from one of the 911s, the best body shell in my opinion. I love the actual classic looking 911s. Although I'm a big fan of the 991 generation, the brand new generation, I like that. But for classic 911s, this has to come in. And it's actually got a retractable spoiler at the rear end, which is really cool. And I love the rear end in general. It's just the same as any other 911 really, but something about it, it's just so much more clean and a lot more nipped and tucked. And then we get the sideways German hoonigan. It is the BMW M2 Coupe. Now, I've driven this thing in Need for Speed, but it does need to come into Forza. And it probably will, let's be honest. They have a generally good relationship with BMW. The M4's in, so it's more than likely that this little hoonigan mobile is going to come in. Now, when I first laid eyes on the M2, I was like, it doesn't really grab my attention. It's not really the most aggressive looking M car, but I think that was when it just first came out. But now, if you look at it from certain angles, it does look pretty damn mean. What I would do, if you can do this, I'm fingers crossing, I know we have body kits in the game, I'd probably put like bigger arches on it and probably extend the rear bumper a little bit, because the 1M looks so much more fiercer than the M2, but it's still a good looking car nonetheless, and it'll be great for drifting. And moving on to its sports car brother, the BMW i8. Now, this is probably one of the best hybrids around right now, because just look at the thing. It is a modern day BMW M1 in my opinion, but at the same time it isn't, if you know what I mean. I don't think it's as great as it's meant to be yet, if you know what I mean. It'd be good if they had like a i8M. I highly doubt they're going to do that, but it would be fantastic to see that happen. And then we've got the crazy doors as well, which looks like, I don't know what you would call them, probably like, not falcon doors, but eagle doors? I don't really know, because they're not really gull-wingish. They're kind of unique, actually. They are pretty damn unique. But I love the rear end as well. And yes, thanks to car throttle, it does look like a freaking... It looks like it's a 911, like the new Gen 911 at the back bumper. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then moving on to one of my favourite manufacturers, Fiat. Yes, this is the Fiat 124. Now, I really want the Abarth version. I'm pretty sure this is the Abarth version, even though there's no Abarth logos on it. But it's really cool. I like how they've harked back to the old 124 of the 60s in terms of styling. This thing shares its chassis with the brand new MX-5, so you know it's going to be a great driving car. I'm pretty sure Tomcat actually done a review on that earlier on this week, so he's one lucky bugger, man. One lucky bugger. But yeah, I would want one of these so bad for my first car, or like my first sports car. Even though it's not the most powerful thing in the world, it's still an appealing car to me. It's just got charm, it's just got personality, and that's what I love about cars. That is the one thing I look for in cars the most. Just, it makes you laugh. And then around the back, to back it up even more, pardon the pun, that it's sharing its chassis and everything with the MX-5. Them rear lights kind of look like a few generations ago of the MX-5, if you know what I mean. It looks like one of them that's been on that, but I love this colour combination. If I had one, it'd probably be in the dark blue, which quite a lot of the road testers are driving it. And also, before we leave the 124, there is a hardtop rally version of this. Now, this is perfect for the Outback, perfect for Australia. It couldn't come along at a better time, because this thing looks sick. It really, really does. This is the front, and this is the rear end. Look at that exhaust. Freaking fart cannon engaged, but it's not really a fart cannon because it's on an actual suitable car to call it a good exhaust pipe, not a 1.2 black Corsa. But it's got a roll cage, it's got a roof scoop. It's just really funky looking. So I would love to see this thing actually compete in the real life rally. Now I know a lot of us were skeptical when Lexus actually revealed the LF LC concept, saying, oh, the production version will never look as good as this, oh, it won't even be anywhere close to it. And look at it, it is nearly identical. This is the Lexus LC 500, I believe it is, the LC 500, and oh god, it has got sex appeal written all over it. I never thought I'd say that about a Lexus, well, excluding the LFA, but in my opinion, this actually does look a little bit better than the LFA, like the proportions and the front of it. I prefer the rear end of the LFA, but from the front, definitely this thing. So if they could mash it up like an LFA LC, oh yeah, oh yeah. But the back, as I said, I prefer the LFA, and I think this is the hybrid version actually. God damn, I want the big V8 one, if there is one like that. I'm not too sure if they are going to come with an engine like that, but an LCF, how good would that be? An LCF. And then a car which many of you might not know, I actually originally seen this on Jay Leno's garage. It is called the Excalibur RS, and yet again, kind of reminds me of a Ford GT mixed with like an old Corvette, if you know what I mean. You know, the one that's in Fast and Furious, kind of like the open top one. It is gorgeous from this angle. And this is the best shot I could get from the back. Sorry for like the cropness and everything, but I really like the red pinstripe that goes around the car. Big dual exhaust at the back. And yeah, again, the back end kind of looks a bit like a GT40 with the two lights. It's a very nice looking car. And Jay Leno said it was really good to drive as well. I might actually put the link in the description if you haven't seen that video already. Go and check it out. It is a belter. Now, I felt as if I've been asking for this car for years. Seriously, I don't know why they haven't brought it in yet, but it's the Maserati Gran Turismo MC Stradale. And if you're talking about noise, this thing will blow anything out the door apart from the Hellcats and the SVR, because it's like caramel, man. It's like caramel. It's like it's like someone throwing up, but in a good way. I know there's no way. I know there's no good way to throw up, but if there was a good way to throw up, this would be the noise that it would be. It's the sort of what the fuck am I talking about? But here we've got a customized version. I love the rims on this, and I hope we get this style in Forza Horizon 3, because the normal Gran Turismo is in, but I've been thinking, why don't they just update it with MC Stradale, because it's such a better car, man. It's so good looking. The rear end as well isn't the most out there, but it's still a nice sculpted backside. Now, I can guarantee you no one's seen this coming. It's the Maserati MXT, the Mexican sports car, which got Top Gear in a little bit of trouble, so I'm not going to say anything to offend anyone. It's quite a cool little car, man. It's quite an underrated little car. There is a racing version of this with like a spoiler and everything on it. Preferably, I would like that version, because I think it suits the spoiler as well, kind of like a front splitter too. So this is kind of like the front bit of it. I don't know why, but I'm getting like a smart coupe vibe from this thing. It does kind of look like that around the front, and around the back's kind of more of a Lotus Evora kind of looking thing, mixed with an Ascari, dare I say it? It does kind of look like an Ascari, but yeah, the little Maserati MXT, I think it deserves a chance in a game. And then we move on to the Grotte Biesta GTS. I'm only kidding. But this is what it's based on in GTA. It is the Ferrari GTC4 Lusso. Basically the replacement for the Ferrari FF. And wow. Wow, what an improvement. Seriously, because the FF came out and everyone kind of scoffed at it, saying it's a bit too fat to be considered a proper Ferrari. Now, I've put this in the sports / GT kind of category because that's kind of what it is. It's not really a big freaking mental crazy supercar. I know it does have a hell of a lot of power in it, but just the profile and everything, it's more in the sports GT kind of, or super GT, I would say. I don't really know, but I've put it in this category. And then around the back, we've got a completely new design for the GTC4 Lusso. I love the fact that they brought that name back, the Lusso. I'm a big fan of the Lusso, which is actually in Forza Horizon 2. Can't remember the exact name of it. I think it's the 250 GT Lusso. It is gorgeous, that thing, but I love the design of the rear lights, man. It's really cool. I've not really seen a Ferrari having this style since like the 612 Scaglietti. And yeah, it is pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. And this is a must. Playground, this is a must right here. If Porsche are in, which basically are confirmed from my video, even though, as I said, people think it's rough, when it clearly isn't. Anyway, this is the Porsche Cayman GT4, one of the best sports cars from recent years, and a car that everyone never thought that Porsche would make, because they're kind of afraid to make the Cayman a little bit faster and a little bit better than the 911, but I think this is actually better than the base, like 911 Carrera S, and maybe even, I don't want to say as good as the GT3 because I don't think it is, but just as good as a 911 I would say, but it's the top dog Cayman and I love it to bits. And here we have the back end as well. This is obviously mid-engine because it is the Cayman, kind of like the small sports car of Porsche. I just love this thing, seriously. I had one in Need for Speed in this precise colour, in the blue. I sadly sold it to get some other cars, but I might be working my way back to get one because it's just a phenomenal thing. And speaking of the GT3, here we have the 991 GT3 RS. Now, I don't really know about the styling of this car. I do prefer the more cleanliness of the GT3, like the normal base model, but I prefer the power of this thing. It is grown on me, right, in terms of looks, but I'm not a fan of the gills, man. I just don't like them for some reason. I know a lot of people do, but I'm not a big fan of them. It's kind of weird looking, but yeah, that's it from the front. And then around the back is where things start to improve, even though the back bumper could be a wee bit more buff, if you know what I mean, because I feel that I know I'm just after saying like, oh, I like my car's clean, and here's me saying the back bumper could be a bit more buff, but it could be though. It could be clean and buff at the same time. But yeah, this is a great looking car from behind. Yeah, it's great, really good track day car, and it'd be cool to blast around the streets of Australia. And sticking with Porsche, we've got the GT4's little sister, the brand new 718 Boxster S. Now, this thing is meant to hark back to some of the old sports cars from the 60s and 70s for Porsche with that name. I do believe there is a 718 RS in Forza Motorsport 6 which I've driven, which is a great car. I love the noise of that and I love the looks. So this is bringing this kind of style back. I like this actual front end. It's pretty damn sharp looking. And then around the back is where it's at its best. I love how it's kind of like, not really carbon, but kind of blacked out around the rear lights. And it says Porsche 718 Boxster. Oh, nice petite little bottom on the car. I like it. Now, I was pretty sad when Maserati announced that they weren't going to be making this thing. It is the Maserati Alfieri concept. Now, the Ferrari GT in GTA 5 is actually based on this thing. I know a lot of people think it's the GT86 which is based on, but it's actually this thing. You can see it from the front and more especially from the rear right here, because you can see how the rear end kind of dips and curves and stuff. It is pure Ferrari GT. I've not driven that car in GT in a while actually. I might make a video on that pretty soon if you guys want to see it. But yeah, I would love to see this thing in Horizon 3, and Mazda, please make it. Now, I thought I'd put a little bit of a wild card on here. This is the Alpine Vision concept. Now, there is going to be the real life car and real life like road going version of this actually revealed pretty soon, because this is just the concept version. As I says, it's meant to hark back to the Alpine A110, as you can plainly see with this front end, especially with that bonnet, how there's ridges and everything in it, and the light layout. And the same goes with the side and the rear. It has the same sort of proportions, but if you ask me, that rear end kinda does look like a 918. If you think about it, pure Porsche 918 with them lights and just like the sculpture. It's like a mini version of that. Don't know why I think that, but it's an overall great looking car. It definitely stands out from the crowd. I really do like this thing. It is kind of, as I said, like a A110 mixed with a little 911/918. And I cannot wait to see what the real car is going to be like. Then we've got a little bit of British sports car right here. I mentioned this in a video a couple of days ago, but this is the Lotus Evora 410 Sport. It's basically the highest version you can get of the Evora, I believe. I know you can get the GTE, but this one looks pretty mad, man. I should have included the GTE on this list as well, but there we go. I've got another car suggested right there. So yeah, this is pretty good from this profile. I like the actual two-tone design with the black stripes and the black side skirts and the black roof. I love cars like that, man. The 458 Italia is really good with like a red body and then like a black roof. And then around the rear, it kind of has like a DeLorean type of back window, if you know what I mean. Kind of looks like that, same with like a Lamborghini Huracan. And it's not bad rear end. It's not the prettiest rear end of all time, but it does its purpose, doesn't it? So the Evora 410 Sport would be good. And then lastly, we went for some American style, the Cadillac ATSV. Now, I do believe I've seen this thing on Motor Trend beating an M4. I'm not too sure if it did or not. I might need to go back and watch that, but it's definitely a competitor of the M4. And it would be good to do a big face-off between them two in Horizon 3. The front end, it's not exactly the prettiest thing in the world. I know a lot of people like it, but it's too kind of chintzy for me. It's kind of like everything shoved on there for the sake of being shoved on. But yeah, it's okay around the front. But from the side and the rear quarters, it looks clean. I love the quad exhaust right there as well. And kind of like the shark fin on the roof. That's a nice touch. There's not much else to say about the ATSV. It's a nice little coupe and it's something different for Cadillac. So I would like to see like Cadillac build like a proper supercar, like a sports car. Because the last one was it the CN thing? Like back in Midnight Club or something like that. I know that was in that. But the CN, that would be a good, like, if they done like a modern version of that, that's what I'm trying to say, that would be awesome. So anyway guys, that is going to round it up for my top 23 sports and GT cars I want in Forza Horizon 3. Just like last time, I would really appreciate you guys tweeting this to Playground Games and Turn 10 Studios on Twitter, because that just gets the video out to them and it gives them more ideas in terms of DLC, because they actually seen the last list. So yeah, if Playground are watching, definitely bring some of these cars in, and thanks for actually taking your time out to watch this video. But as I said at the start, if I have missed anything out guys, then let me know. I'm kind of looking at, you'll notice a trend, it's kind of like cars that have been out in the past couple of years, but there will be a list pretty soon for like classic cars and stuff like that, so keep an eye out for that as well. And you can also suggest lists of like car genres that you want me to do. So thank you very much for watching guys. If you have enjoyed it, then a like is always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you are brand new, and also, I haven't mentioned this in a while, follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Car Throttle. I've also got Instagram now, links are in the description. But yep, thanks again guys, I love yous all, thank you for the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Click left to see the customization and drive of the brand new Grotti X80 Proto in GTA 5, and all of the confirmed car lists so far for Forza Horizon 3 on the right.